a couch potato cowboy or an armchair quarterback or a keyboard tough guy. You know, some people do, spend time cyberbullying out there. I don't think they should be prosecuted for it or you should be crying about it. But people will sit there and flame on a message board about some, radio comment that I make that's, 1 minute out of a 3-hour show and obsess over it when, like you said, they could be out there with a petition. They could be informing the populace that there's fluoride in their water. They could have their own radio show. They could be filming, just little video blogs to put onto YouTube. It doesn't have to be an entire movie. If they want to make a movie, great. I mean, there's a million things you can do out there. You can run for office. You can become that city councilman. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say, I mean, I live in Manchester, New Hampshire. It's, believe it or not, out here in New Hampshire, it's not really talked about that much, but there is a lot of intelligent people that are actually really, really awake. And I've noticed since I got into this whole thing a few years ago, I was actually responsible for waking up a lot of people about 9/11 around me, and I noticed that after a while, once you get the right people to buy into your message, that's really all it takes. And I'm on good terms with all the guys in politics in Manchester. And although I understand that they buy into the Republican Democrat thing, but I've noticed that 9 times out of 10, even the guys on the local level, they know what they're involved in, and they understand 9/11. I mean, my mayor here in Manchester, he understands what happened on 9/11. I mean, he told me right to my face that he can't do anything about it, and it gets really frustrating for me because I feel like everybody is subverted by seeing other people fight against it. That they feel like it's already being taken care of. So that's why I wanted to call in and let everybody know out there.
Well, we're a far cry from victory, my friend, and I'm going to need hundreds, thousands, millions to step up to the plate and try to knock one out of the park with the rest of us if we want to take this country back and restore our Constitution and Bill of Rights. Seymour Hersh coming up on the other side. I guess we'll play it. It's a little bit of a long clip, but it's definitely worthy. It's the Info Warrior. We'll be back after this. All right, on the flip side, we're going to go to Ann, Brandon, Antonio, Gabriel, and others. The call line is 866-582-9933, but I really want to get this Cy Hersh clip out to the masses. Hit it.
Spoken about a death or an assassination squad that Cheney ran. And you've talked about this before, but what link, if any, was there between this squad and Hariri's murder?
What I've written, and I've written it more than once, is that there's a special unit that does high-value targeting, HVT, of men, and I don't think mostly men, not women, that we believe that are known to be directly involved in anti-American activities or believed to be planning in such activities, which is, it's a hard thing to start killing people or want to assassinate people or kill them because they are believed to be planning something. And in the American view, the Bush-Cheney view, this isn't murder. This is carrying out the war on terror. And in the view of me and my friends, including people inside the government, this is crazy. This is absolutely a violation of the president is committing a crime. About Hariri, what I've always maintained, I was in the position of actually seeing President Bashar Assad on the day Hariri was killed in February 2005. I was interviewing him that day. And to me, it seemed clear to me that he knew nothing about it, but I never wrote about even the fact I was there, because I had no basis, objectively, no empirical basis, no factual basis for knowing whether he was involved or not, and he never did. And I decided to wait for the investigations. And the investigations have come up basically with null. They basically say there's no concrete evidence suggesting that Syria did it. And despite the fact that one of the earlier investigators speculated that they did, he didn't know.
You seem to have a working relationship with Bashar al-Assad. How close do you think Syrians and the Israelis were to achieving a peace deal before the Gaza war broke out?
Oh, I think closer than it is now, that's for sure. I think they had agreement on most of the modalities. I think the agreement, look, it's always the last, in any agreement. If you remember in the 2000 when they came close to an agreement, it was about 100 meters or so to the water. to the Sea of Galilee. So it was very close, but of course the last inch is always the hardest one. But I think things are really going along very well, which makes the Israeli attack all the more upsetting. If you remember, Erdogan got very angry and at Davos even got into an argument with Perez and walked out. And the reason he was so angry is that Omar, the Prime Minister of Israel, had been, the discussions were, as I'm told, much deeper, much more, there was even very almost direct discussions between Omar and Bashar Assad, who speak good English. There was they were all on the phone, the same phone together. So there was contact before. And even
they did speak directly.
Well, I don't know. I just know that they were both on a phone on the same phone line, but they probably spoke through a third party. I just don't know. But they both understand English very well. Bashar was educated in the United States, and Omar obviously does. These conversations took place within a week of the bombing of Gaza, and so there was enormous rage. The Turks were very upset by Omar because of. He obviously knew about the bombing.
All right, so it looks like some of these articles just kind of put Benazir Bhutto into them. It doesn't appear, at least in those clips, that he even talked about that. He just talked about the Cheney assassination squad. So, if there's an extended clip out there, that's the one that's on the internet. That's the one Raw Story's covering. That's the one that I have posted over at the Infowarrior.com. So if anybody has any other legitimate, news on that, they have more video, they have him actually talking about Bhutto, we'd love to see it. Send it over to Aaron at Infowars.com or Rob D at Infowars.com. Brazil and China I plan to axe dollar. Brazil and China will work towards using their own currencies in trade transactions rather than the U.S. dollar, according to Brazil's central bank and aides to Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, Brazil's president. The move follows recent Chinese challenges to the status of the dollar as the world's leading international currency. Oh, so the dollar is going to be dropped as the world reserve currency. The global currency, the SDR units, will probably become the world currency, although they kind of are now. And globalization will further continue. Your phone calls after this, 866-582-9933, prisonplanet.tv, Infowars.com.